welcome back once again, my gente, to Elephant in the Room. Once again, this is Benny Bernal, your candidate for Congress in District 29, with our co-host, my beautiful wife here on the right, Maryann Bernal. You want to say hello, Maryann?
Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
Hope everyone's doing well.
And we got the great one and only Jerry Salas from El Chicano. What's up, Jerry?
You guys are what's up. We're going to get the info out now.
That's right, my brother. We're going to make some things happen, you know. It's been quite a busy day, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much for all of us, all three of us today, you know. And, you know, Jerry, thank you for coming down all the way from Three Rivers out here to spend some time with us, you know. And I know you're here because you have a very, very special event tomorrow. We'll talk about that towards the end of the show. But
Sure.
we want to start off the show real quick, guys. I want you guys to just to know today our granddaughter was actually graduated today from middle school. So Mariah, apologize, I couldn't be there. I had to be at a press conference today, but I want to say congratulations for your accomplishments and looking forward to a bright future. Baby, you want to say anything to Mariah?
Oh, it was a lovely day, a lovely morning. I'm just so proud of my baby granddaughter. She's not a baby anymore, but she had a little rough ending to her 8th grade. But you know what? I think it's a good learning lesson. And so I think that's what matters is that she grew from the situation. And
That's right.
She's great. I'm happy for her. So
Yeah. And for Jerry's, for those of you in the audience that don't understand, it was a bullying incident that took place in her school, and she was willing to stand up and speak up about it, being bullied by a boy.
Really?
And apparently he was bullying more than one female. It was something that was repeated, but the schools didn't want to do anything about it. The schools kind of were just like trying to ignore the situation. We actually forced, we went into the principal's office. We forced the principal to get involved.
Good.
And with all the connections we have, we had the board members involved. I mean, we had everybody who needed to hear what was going on in that school got involved. But because Mariah was willing to speak up, other young girls, other boys were willing to speak up as well. So it kind of just started a domino effect, and that's what needs to happen. Don't be afraid, because people always want to say, yeah, you're a snitch, snitches get stitches. You know what? That's long gone here. You know,
That's right.
things we're faced with today, enough is enough. What's your thoughts on that, Jerry?
I hate the bullies. It's just something about a big bully that, you know, just irks me. And my daughters went through it at the same time when they were in middle school in Oregon. And my one daughter, though, was a lot tougher than the younger. And she came to the other daughter's aid, so to speak, and took care of the problem.
There it is. Hey, you know, there was an old saying we used to say back in the days, and I don't take offense to this, but they say, you mess with one bean, you get the whole burrito, man. So here we come.
And
You
that's
know?
exactly what happened, you know, and that's happened before in my family, you know, with nieces that were bullied back in the day. And I had another niece who was tough. This girl could fight, man. So she went back to that school and just called out that girl that was bullying. And that was the end of that.
There it is.
Sometimes you got to do what you got to do,
Right.
but it's best that you go through the channels,
yes,
you know,
yes.
because that way it gets taken care of
It
at
doesn't
that
continue.
level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So possibly they're going to be looking for it down the line now,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know, so
The
it doesn't happen.
Right. The unfortunate thing, unfortunately, is that the schools don't do anything anymore.
No.
So they, you know, it's just getting so bad in the schools. We actually did on the LAHRC radio station 870. We did one of the shows, basically explaining what happened to my granddaughter, and we had a principal on talking about how in the school where she is a principal every day there's fires going on in the trash cans, how they were
Stabbings.
telling them that the teachers should be wearing protective gear. I mean, the schools are really bad.
Oh, yeah.
So
Right.
they're just out of control. My husband and I both have teachers in our family, and both, you know, wanting to retire early. One, I think his family did retire early, but they want to retire early because there's no discipline, and they feel there's a lot of fear for their safety at this point. And so our schools are out of control. So I guess my advice to parents, grandparents, and families out there, if you could homeschool, homeschool.
Definitely.
And, you know, and the other thing I would say, get involved
Yes,
with your
yes.
city councils, your school councils, get
School board.
involved, your school board, because, you know what, the left has taken over, and they are taking over our children, And if we don't step up and do something, we're not going to recognize our children pretty soon.
You know,
I totally agree.
yeah,
Totally
but
agree.
you know, on that note, so here you have the unions, you have all these politicians. What were they talking about a year and a half ago? Defund police. Let's remove school police from the campuses, and that's exactly what they did. Well, guess what? As a former union vice president for SEIU Local 99, they were out at the school board meeting last Tuesday, this past Tuesday. It was last week Tuesday, and they were talking about budget cuts. So there's a lot of budget cuts that they're going to be faced with, and now they're asking for even school police to be brought back onto the campuses because of the rise of crime and everything else that's going on. I mean, it's what we're dealing with. That's why I always tell people, be careful what it is you ask for, right?
That's right.
You just might get it.
Kind of goes into
That's right.
Yeah.
a lot of the Prop 47, right? You know,
Yeah.
just
And as my wife was saying, now, you know, you look at, especially with Proposition 47 and all those things that took place, there's even more reason why we need somebody in that position who's prepared, that's not going to be controlled by the politicians. So we have a little clip I want you guys to just view real quick. It has to do with the repeal of Proposition 47. Let's take a look at that video.
Cool.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I rise in opposition. I would note they're not saying we're closing prisons because crime is down. We're not closing prisons because there's less convicted criminals. We're closing prisons because we've stopped sending criminals to prison. Our crime is up, violent crime is up, property crime is up. You go talk to any normal person out in the community, they are outraged with the state of public safety. That's why the voters want to repeal Prop 47. But what is the cost of crime to our community? What is the cost to businesses in California? You want to talk about affording, the cost of these prison spaces. There's a cost to crime, and that needs to be considered as well. So I pose this. I don't believe that we have too many prisoners. We have let out half the prisoners. We let out almost 90,000 prisoners. We used to have 180,000 prisoners. We are down to 90,000 prisons because we changed the laws. We don't send felons to prison anymore. We're sending them to county jail. And it is really with exception that you get sent to prison. So we need to change our policies, and we need to save these bed spaces because the tide is turning, and we will start sending criminals back to prison soon. Mark my words. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Awesome. That is the assemblyman there.
Good.
Yeah. So the question is here for both of you. We could talk about this really quick. If 90,000 prisoners have been released, where are they at and what are they doing?
Preying on people that don't go to prison. And this is, I remember Newsom talking about releasing 30,000 last year. So now it's up to 90,000 already. So what does that mean? That means crime is going to be rampant. We see it every day, you know. Well, I wonder what their intentions are. To my thinking, if somebody's releasing 90,000 felons on a community, they're not really looking out for your best interests, are they?
Exactly.
right.
So that is what you got to look at. You know, they're doing this for a reason.
Yes.
And what
Okay.
is the reason?
I feel they're all wanting socialism.
Well, exactly, because they want to push the public to the point where they feel no one can help them but
the government.
exactly.
And
So
they're
we
the
see
and
it.
they're the ones that are creating
and they're the
problem.
ones creating
it.
what we're going
Yes.
through right now.
Yes.
So what does that mean?
Well, that leads right into our next segment. We're talking about the repeal of Proposition 47. It is an initiative that has been set forth by the voters. So Prop 47 was initially it all goes down to how the statement is written, which the attorney general has control of that. And the last time Prop 47, it was laid out as Safe Neighborhood and Streets Act. So people actually thought that they were voting
Yes.
for safer streets,
Oh, my
safer
Lord.
neighborhoods, and in reality,
They were
it was
getting the
reducing
opposite.
felonies
Yes.
to misdemeanors and so on and so forth. No more mandatory drug rehabilitation before they're released. So there is an agenda, and that's what we have to ask ourselves, like, what is the agenda? I think the three of us can see that, but we want our audience to understand, think deeper for yourself as to why would they be doing something like this. The assembly member said it perfectly. It's not that we don't have beds in these prisons. they're there.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Got 90,000 empty ones now.
and we have an election coming up in 2024 in November, right?
Mm-hmm.
So could this be a way for them to also have some of those registered? Because you can't vote if you're a felon,
Yes.
but you can vote if you have misdemeanors.
Well, that's what they did. Is
Ah.
they took the Prop 47 and they made felonies into misdemeanors, and they made the $940 what do they call smash and grab? I don't know if you want to say, but basically, if you could still up to $940, and it won't be considered a felony. So basically, and they won't really even arrest you. They won't do anything to you. So everybody's doing all these smash and grabs. They're stealing everything left and right all over the place because they know they're going to get away with it.
Closing chains of
Yes.
stores, losing jobs on
Right.
top of it, of the people that were working there,
Yes.
arresting the people who actually are trying to stop the theft in their store.
Right?
Yes.
What does that say?
That is just crazy. It's
That's
like when
nuts.
I heard that, I'm like, are you kidding me?
Right.
You know, this is so just come on in, do your thing, and we're just gonna watch you.
Right. So you got to really ask yourself, are these politicians looking out for me?
Right.
Well, and
Not even close. They're totally doing the opposite, and you got to see it. First of all, when somebody says defund the police, the most asinine thing I've ever heard in my life, you know what's going to happen, and it's happening.
Yes.
Yep.
Did you not think that was going to happen?
Yes.
You know, come on, people, wake up.
Yeah.
Look at what they're doing to you. Look at what they're pushing on you right now.
Right.
You got to stand up against this. You
but
cannot take this.
it doesn't stop there.
No.
I mean, the Dems can't tolerate the fact that criminals are actually going to be jailed again. So now you have this repeal on Prop 47, and today, today's been Tuesday, right? So today there was a vote that was taken with the ballot initiative. So the plan of the Democrats in Sacramento right now is to once again confuse the voters at the ballot box.
Yes.
So just like they got them to vote for Prop 47, you know, by safer streets, safer neighborhoods. Now, what they're telling the ballot, because of the ballot initiative, in order for it to be repealed, the politicians don't have the power to do that. It had to be an initiative where voters actually sign once again to push it and put it back on the ballot. I believe they got over 900,000 signatures. So this bill to repeal was by law enforcement. You had DAs. You had bipartisan support, because no one thought they were going to get over 900,000 signatures. But now that they got the 900,000 signatures, what do you think they want to do? You know? So go ahead.
Yeah. I think right now, aren't they trying to implement some more new bills that they're saying that they're anti, theft and anti, I guess they're trying to say that they're going to work on getting the criminals, but they're not going to do anything. They're not going to arrest the criminals. They may arrest a criminal and put them in a jail for 3 or 4 days, but not a prison, because they're getting rid of the prisons. They don't want, but they
Right.
want to say, we're going to put them in jail, but they can't keep you in jail because the jails are full.
Right.
So they have to release you. So they're tricking the public once again, like they did with the Prop 47. I mean, how many times have they tricked us already with the gas tax, with everything else that they
yeah.
do? I mean, go ahead, baby.
Yeah, and it's like, so now you have the Dems at the state and the national level, they're freaking out because they didn't think this was possible, and they're freaking out. So here's one of the points. They don't like the narrative that the people are going to override their policies on soft crime.
Wow.
And who's supposed to control our government? The people. Or the Exactly.
Exactly.
You guys want to talk about that a little bit? Who should have the power and why?
Yeah. Well, we're supposed to be the ones electing people that are going to do what we feel is correct, but we've been snookered.
Oh, yes.
We've all been snookered, man. These guys, with sheep's clothing,
Yes.
so to speak.
Well, they're not representing.
They're not representing us.
and they're supposed to represent
Oh,
us.
no.
And you could just tell by everything they're doing. People are not okay with everything that's going on in our schools, and they're not okay with all this crime. And you know what? They keep putting fake Band-Aids on because they don't want to fix it. That is their agenda, and so this is a global thing. This is not just here; it's happening global. And so basically, what we have is global elitists running the world right now, and so we have elite billionaires running everything that are not elected, and so they're buying all these politicians. And
especially DAs.
Oh yeah, DAs are buying all
because that's where the rubber hits the road, so to speak.
Yes,
right?
George Soros bought and paid for DAs.
Yeah.
And so right now it's happening globally. If you look everywhere, everything the borders are open everywhere. It's not just here. It's happening globally. And so right now we need to do something with these global elitists that are basically, they bought off pretty much the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is
totally bought.
And half of the Republican Party is probably bought off at this point also. So right now, that's what people need to understand is we need to do something about these global elitists and get them out of our politics because basically they're ruining everything.
The world.
Yeah, they are.
I'll tell you, I want everybody else to look up the meetings that they have in Davos every year.
Oh, yes.
Gates, Soros, Schwab, they're telling you their goal is mass reduction population of the world.
Yes.
These aren't my words.
Yes.
This is their words. And I challenge anybody to look it up. Go look it up.
Yes.
You can see them saying it.
Yeah.
And then the pandemic came out. Think about that for a minute. Think about that.
You mentioned something earlier when we were speaking. We were driving over here to the podcast, and when you were talking about, lost my train of thought on that one right there.
Well, Davos, what I was talking about is because those are the elitists that you were talking about that are running the show.
Yes,
they have the money to run whatever it is they're running around the world.
Yes.
Gates is wanting us to eat plant meat,
spiders,
and you can't have beef. I mean, they're taking everything that you enjoy that you think that you're going to be able to live comfortably away from you. They wanted to take your ovens away. Even come on, open your eyes.
Exactly.
Open your eyes to what they're shoving down our throats, and fight it.
Yes.
Yes.
You gotta fight it.
And
you can't just sit back and just go, well, somebody else is going to say something.
Right.
No, you got to say something. If it's only to your neighbor, if it's only to your husband, your wife, get talking about it, because when it comes to the point to where they achieve all that, it's too late.
Yes. Yes.
And the interesting thing is here you have moderate Democrats and you have the progressives, right? So because they thought this was going to fail and never get to the ballot, it got out of the first committee. They tried to put in an amendment out there, trying to make deals with the district attorneys, make deals with the initiative, the people who put the initiative on the ballot. And they stood strong and said, absolutely not. They were threatening to, now that it's going to appropriations, what they're trying to do is they're going to try to use a scare tactic to say, okay, these 14 public safety bills that we just passed, if you pass the ballot initiative to repeal Prop 47, the legislators are going to threaten them to say, then we're going to pull out these other 14 public safety bills that we just passed. So it's like,
wow.
Okay,
wow.
Help me understand this.
It's all a game.
Oh,
it's all
Lord.
a game.
Prop 47 is intended for worse public safety, to repeal it. Is it going to make our community safer if we repeal Prop 47?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So it's like, okay, wait a minute. So you're putting 14 bills that you want the people to feel safer, but if we pass the initiative, then you're going to pull them 14 bills. How does that make any sense?
It doesn't. And you got to ask yourself, are they looking out for me?
Right?
Yeah, they're
Right?
not. It's all
Is
fake.
that for my goodwill? Is that for my family's good
Yes.
being? No.
What people have,
That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do is
Right.
think about how that is going to affect you and your family and your neighbors.
yes.
Just think about that, and the answer's right there.
Right.
I mean, come on.
Well, what people have to remember is that the Democrats have a super majority. That means they have full control to do whatever they want. If they wanted to fix the homeless, they could fix the homeless.
Oh, yeah.
If they wanted to fix the border, they could fix the border. If they wanted to fix the crime, this Prop 47, they can do it. They could do basically whatever they want. If Joe Biden wanted to fix the border, again,
He could have done that for the very gift.
All he had to do was nothing. Just leave it. Leave.
Thank you.
Trump's,
Just leave what he had inherited from Trump.
Yeah, exactly. And so
Don't try to fix what's not broken, right, babe?
now, what people have to understand is that I think when any party is in charge for too long, they get corrupt. And the Democrats have been in charge forever. And right now, I wouldn't even consider what is their Democrats anymore. I think they're far left anarchists at this point that are bought and paid for. So if you're a Democrat, please don't take offense, because I'm not trying to offend anybody, because back in the day, we did have Kennedy Democrats.
We were all Democrats.
I was a Democrat.
We were all Democrats.
My whole family was a Democrat.
They valued the nuclear family. They valued hard work and
Church.
all of that stuff. And so that is not that no longer exists in the Democratic Party any longer. And so you have to wake up. I know are a lot of conservative Democrats and independents, because I was one. I've been an independent all my life up until just this last election because of my husband, because he's a Republican. So I changed to Republican, but I would have probably stayed an independent the whole time. But all I'm saying is that we have to wake up. If you value the nuclear family, if you value keeping our borders safe, if you value your child's safety in the schools, you know what? Your Democratic Party is no longer the Democratic Party. They are the socialist, communist, Marxist party at this point.
Bingo.
And so,
Hit the nail on the head.
they are totally bought off by the global elitists that are buying off different countries. Look at what happened in Mexico. You got a very liberal leftist president now that's taking pictures with the LGBTQ. Again, we don't care what you are when you're an adult. We just care about the children. We care that
Leave the kids
let
alone.
the children have their innocence.
That's it.
Keep the sex stuff, that stuff out of our children's lives. Let the parents deal with that. It's not up to the schools. The schools, their academic scores are so low right now. You have no business, injecting all the sexual stuff and using our tax money to indoctrinate and sexualize our children.
Right.
Now, if you're an adult, do what you want as an adult. So
That's between you and your maker.
exactly. So this is, to me, I think people just don't understand. It's really, there's so much. It goes really deep, and it's really hard to explain this. And you're trying to explain it in a layman's form so people can understand, because it's overwhelming to understand what is happening here.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a lot to process here, but the only way we can change this is if we change who we're voting for.
Bingo.
We have to vote. People keep saying, "Well, what does it matter? What does it matter?" Well, that mind frame is what got us to where we're at
Now.
Yes.
You know what? Instead of saying that, how about double down? How about getting involved in the elections? How about running for election? How about calling up and finding out who you can support, what candidate you can support? Because you know what? Local politics is so important, because that's what's affecting your family right away, quickly. Because it's the schools. Look what's happening in our schools. Look what is happening to all the jobs that are leaving California. So you have to get involved in your assembly. The voting.
Well, here's an action. Here's an action that I want for our audience. So let's be very clear about if we repeal Prop 47, what does that mean for you? If you by repealing Prop 47, what does that mean? That means people who are breaking the law are going to be going to prison.
Yes.
Bingo.
That means that people will be forced into rehab before they can be released out of prison. That means that we can finally deal with the fentanyl dealers and everything else that is taking place in our cities and our communities that is killing our innocent children and our young adults. That's what repealing Prop 47 will do. An action for all of you out there is this is what you need to do. Stay focused. There's 3 state assembly members that you need to contact between today and next Monday. These 3 assembly members are in the appropriations committee. And two of them are from LA, one from Monterey Park. So please call your assembly member, Lisa Calderon, who's from LA, kind of represents the Whittier area. She is one of the members on the appropriation committee. And then you have Wendy Carrillo. Now, Wendy Carrillo, you know the story about her. She's the one that got arrested for a DUI last year. You know, still out there making legislation for us. You know, so she's the other assemblywoman. So you have Lisa Calderon, you have Wendy Carrillo, and Mike Fon. Those are the three from Monterey. Those are the three assembly members. If you live in their districts, and even if you don't live in their districts, make sure you give them a call and tell them to vote no on the amendments. No on the amendments is what we need them to do. So that way, as Prop 47 moves forward, there will be no 14. The 14 bills will not be a part of what is taking place here when we actually are able to pull back and repeal Prop 47. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's what we need our people to do. So, you know, that's kind of the issue we wanted to talk about a little bit about Prop 47. We always want to give our viewers something to do. So if you find this between now and Monday, please make sure you call our state assemblyman. So another event that took place today, there was a judgment. No, wasn't there a judgment in a court or something that happened?
The Hunter
Biden, right?
Hunter.
You guys want to talk about that a little bit?
He finally became the hunted. I mean, it's just so long overdue. It's just so ridiculous what we're seeing here. I mean, you know, we look at what is happening here with him and his dad and the amount of money that has gone back and forth between China, Russia, and Ukraine is just crazy. We know Hunter's gotten money from all those different places. We know that he was flying in Air Force Two before his dad was even the president, when his dad was vice president. And we know that the family has been getting money. The uncle has been getting money. They all have been getting money. I mean, they have how many bank accounts? Countless bank accounts. So, you know, people will say, well, what did he do? What did he do? You know what? This is treason as far as I'm concerned. And you look at Donald Trump and all the stuff that they're trying to manufacture, the stuff that they're bringing up from years ago that they're trying to say, you know, he's guilty on his bank statement. He was cheating and for his taxes. Well, you know what? I bet you 90% of the population cheated on their taxes.
Well, he wasn't, but he wasn't cheating. What it is there's loopholes in the law.
Yes.
That he utilizes,
and that's it.
And it's fair game.
Exactly, and he made it very clear. He said when he was president, if you don't like it,
change the law.
Change the law.
Right.
Yes.
So
that's it.
People don't want to hear that.
No,
you know.
Right.
And it's just the fact that, you know, you keep bringing up all these things from, like, look at, they have to change laws. Like even the lady that brought up the rape charge against Trump, they had to change the limits. I think the term limit of her doing her filing for that charge had expired. They have to go back and change everything to do these charges against him. It's just people don't see the difference. There's a big difference. A treason against everybody in your country is very different from somebody putting their something on their bank statement, whether it was a legal charge or not a legal charge, to comparing it to all of us being undermined with countries that are supposed to hate us, like China, Russia. Like, why would a president and his son and the uncle and all of these people be getting millions from, like, how do people not see the difference? It's a humongous difference.
I can't understand how people don't see the compromising. He's compromised. I mean, what was it, a year ago when the gas was like, up where I live, like over $5.
Let's try $7.
Yeah, it's getting. It's up there. Well, guess what? We have a thing that is called the gas reserve that this country has. My question is, why was Biden sending all that to China?
And that reserve is there. Why?
Yeah, for us.
Yeah.
In case of what?
A war.
Bingo.
Right?
Yeah.
So we have these reserves in place to protect the American citizens.
Right. And he's sending them to China?
And China is our ally?
Yeah, no. China is our enemy.
Exactly.
Hello.
So it's like, it's like, what is the thinking process about this? And you know what? it's not that I'm bashing him as an individual, but what is your thinking process as the most powerful man in the world, the president of the United States? Who are you looking out for?
Yeah.
Himself.
And that's what we need our audience to understand.
That's it.
Understand the policies, because like I tell people, whether you love Trump, hate Trump, love Biden, hate Biden, whether you love what comes out of his mouth or dislike it, I don't care what you talk about. I don't care what you do within your own little four walls. Your policies, what you write
That
down
is
and
what
what
you
you
gotta go
sign
by.
is what affects my pocketbook, what affects my rent, what affects the cost of groceries.
My liberty.
You name it.
Yeah.
It goes on and on and on.
That's
so
right.
I always tell people, you look back 3.5, 4 years ago. Did you have more money in your pocket?
Oh, yeah. There were no wars.
Who was the only president to not
Gee.
take us to a war?
Gee, I wonder, would that be Trump?
Well, you know,
I think it is.
yeah. And it's not that we're all crazy, these big time Trumpsters, you know, but
No.
I love his policies.
Never
and
go
what he
by
did.
what people say.
Yes.
Go by what they do.
Exactly.
My father taught me that when I was a little boy. You know, he looked at me because I was asking questions about something, and then he told me that, and it just hit me like a ton of bricks. Son, never listen to somebody what they're going to say. Look at what they do.
Yes.
And that's exactly when we talk about the current president, we talk about Trump, we talk about Obama, and I go back to Obama where he
The
has
fall started
yeah,
with him.
He has a way to speak. He has a way to connect with people,
yeah.
and people believed, you know, even
was so smooth.
some Republicans that were on the fence were like, I like what he has to say if he follows through with what he was talking about. But now you have these presidents who say they're going to do something and they don't.
Nope.
And what's the difference between them and Trump? Trump said, I'm going to do A, B, C, and D.
And he did it.
Trump did A, B, C, and D.
That's right.
You know, and that's what they were afraid of, you know. And when we talk about it, it's not about Democrat versus Republican.
No.
Let's get that out of our heads.
Get that
you know?
out. Yeah, I wanted to get to that point.
Yeah.
It's not about your team.
Nope.
Okay?
Yes.
Nope.
About your family.
I don't care if it's independent, Republican, Democrat, whatever. To me, that means nothing. What means to me is what they do and
Exactly.
what I have to be put through, and your family has to be put through. That is what you got to go by. It's not about being on, well, you know, I've been a Democrat my whole,
Yeah.
or I've been a whatever.
Exactly.
No. I was a Democrat my whole life, but I saw the change, and I saw my life change. I saw my liberties going away. I saw my money going away. I saw everything that's been happening right now. You have to go by reality. You cannot sit there and think, but it's my team.
Yeah.
I have to stay Democrat and vote Democrat because that's my team. Well, no. America is your team.
Yes.
The United States is your team. That's who you have to protect. Guess what? Because that's going to protect you and your family as well.
Yes. And you have to think about too. You got to look. The border is one of the most sacred things that we.
What border?
We don't have a border right now, but you have to ask yourself. This president and his administration has been questioned over and over about the border, and they kept saying it was secure, even though there's tons and tons and tons of videos showing just people
Over
mass
17
migrating.
million in now.
And so you have to be asking yourself, I don't care what party. If it was a Republican doing it, I'd be
We'd be
screaming
on
at
them
them.
too.
I'd be
That's right.
screaming at them.
Call them out.
And you have to understand that the majority of these people that are coming in are, first, it's Chinese, second, it's Russians, and third, it's people from the Middle East. Okay, so we're always talking about our presidents are always saying how the Chinese are not our friends, the Russians are not our friends. Most of the Middle East, they're
Hate
really,
us.
yeah. So
Death to America.
why would a president allow the border to be so open and these sanctuary governors? Why would they do that? To me,
right.
it's treasonous.
It is.
And I don't care what
Total
it
treason.
doesn't matter what side.
We
It
have
does-
laws
yes,
and rules that
if-
they took an oath to protect.
Exactly.
And they
Absolutely.
have not done it.
yes.
As far as I'm concerned, they can be brought up on charges if
Exactly.
they haven't done their oath.
And if it was a Republican, I would be saying the
Same
same
thing.
thing. It wouldn't change.
Yes.
And you have to understand, in addition to that, we have the most human child trafficking than
Oh, my God.
of any time. On top of that, we have the most amount of fentanyl coming in, killing our children and people in our family.
Hundreds of thousands.
Ever before. So it's like you could take each one of those scenarios, and that's enough to put a president in prison, as far as I'm concerned.
As far as I'm concerned, he should have been put in prison after Afghanistan pulled out.
And not
alone.
Let's leave our equipment behind, guys.
Let's give him all the equipment too.
and not only is he leaving the border open, that's bad enough, but he's actually flying them in.
Right.
He's getting airplanes and he's flying them in
all across the country,
and he's using our money
to do it.
In the midst of inflation, when so many people are hurting right now. So many people are having a hard time finding a place to rent because rent has gone up so much. People are having a difficult time buying places right now. Food is double. Gas is double, utility is double, insurance is double, almost everything is double. And so we have a president that is literally chartering airplanes and bringing in these people. Why would he be doing this? I mean, come on, people. I don't care what party you are. I don't care if you're a man, a woman, LGBTQ, I don't care. That's going to affect us all. I mean, we're glutton for punishment if we're not getting involved. You have to get involved. You have to find out who who the conservative is that you can vote for assembly, for your city council. They're all Democrats. We need to get rid of these people, because they're all doing the same thing. These people need to go. We need a clean slate with the city council. We need to do clean slate with the assembly. We need with our state senators, all of them. We need to change this. You need to run for office. You need to support. You need to send money to all these people that are running. You need to call them up and find out whether you can canvass for them. You can make phone calls for them. I mean, host a backyard event for them. Come on, people. We got to wake up. We cannot allow this. This is crazy.
And we're going to be doing on our podcast when it comes time close to elections, we're going to be having links up there that we're going to have pretty much like a voter database, a voter guide. Right now we have in the city of LA, you have 4 assembly members? We have Victoria Garcia, that's running for state assembly. We have Tracy Schroeder. We have Tony Rodriguez, also running for state assembly. And then we have Lucy Velasquez, that's running for the Senate. So those are 4 names right there that I guarantee you help us get those 4 people into the state assembly, into the Senate, myself into Congress. You're going to see a big difference in our communities. That much I guarantee you. Here's an interesting thing when we talk about the border, right? We talk about, asylum seekers that are coming over. Biden is just pretty much, they're going through this process so fast. They're taking all of our border patrol, going through the processing service. They're not even protecting our borders. He's giving these people the court dates. They're showing up. They're clearing. Boom. They're let go free in our country. I received a phone call the last 2 days from 2 different people who have been in this country for 7-8 years. They've been trying to go through the process, waiting to become citizens. And they're like, Benny, you're running for Congress.
I know it's coming.
So why are all these people jumping in front of us when they did things illegally and we've been trying to do and it's like, this is crazy. I really had no answer for them. I said, look,
there is no answer.
My only answer is you got an election coming up in 2024.
That's it.
Vote
the right way.
Vote your heart, vote your values. If Biden is your guy and you're happy with your grocery bills doubling, filling your fuel tank doubling, your homeowner's insurance skyrocketing, your fire insurance skyrocketing.
17 million people crossing the border.
And that's just what has been caught and counted.
They don't know what the gotaways are.
But here's an interesting point. I was talking to my relatives. There's some of those. It was one of my relatives that had called me. And they were asking me once again about my position on the border. Right? Because they say, you're Hispanic, you should be standing up for the raza, this and that. I said, let me ask you a question. How many innocent women and children never made it across the border? How many of them are lying in the desert, tied up to a tree, or being used for human sex trafficking?
Right.
They had no idea. I said, that is a reality. Hundreds of thousands. And we don't even know the real number because they never come across.
No.
That is a reality. When I was running in 2016, when I was still a Democrat, and I was on the fence with the border because it wasn't as crazy as it is right now. A father came up to me. I was speaking to a group of Salvadorians and Guatemalans, and he says, Benito, let me ask you a question. I want to talk to you about the border. I said, okay. He goes, I came from Guatemala. I was bringing my wife, my 4-year-old, and my 5-year-old daughter. We got to Tijuana, to TJ. When we got to TJ, the men were separated from the women and children. The men were put in vans. The women and children were put in separate vans, taken to separate locations.
Wow.
The men were given a backpack that was filled with drugs, and they were given a phone number. And they were told, when you get these drugs across the border, you call this number, you get your wife and your kids back.
Wow.
This father was forced to smuggle those drugs across the border.
Mm-hmm.
He called that number. Do you think he ever got his kids back?
Doubt it.
Never saw them again.
Never saw him again.
Now, those are the stories that I want our audience to understand. When you talk about the border and you support an open border, understand what it is you're supporting. Because the majority of the people coming across this border right now aren't like the gente that we were welcoming over, who are coming here to work hard, who are coming here to be part of the system, who are coming here to pay in to the pot that everybody is receiving from. Mm-hmm. These are people just coming with their hands out. But the worst part about it is the trained militants who have gotten into our country, who are here to destroy this country. They could be your neighbors. They could be involved in your work sites, wherever. Keep your eyes open and be aware. You see things that are suspicious, make sure you report it. But these are the things.
I was going to say something about that because,
Yeah.
and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but guess what? Do you think all those 17 million, mostly military-age men, are here just to work?
Absolutely not.
I predict, and I'm very sad to say, 9/11 was nothing compared to something that's going to be happening in our country.
And you're a veteran,
And
Vietnam
I'm a
veteran.
Vietnam veteran, and I've seen battle. I've seen people die. I fought to keep that away from our country, and now they're just letting them in.
Oh, man.
Do you know how that makes military guys like me feel? Because it will happen.
Oh, yeah.
And when it does, then you're going to think, why didn't I say something?
Right.
Why didn't I do something about this board? Why didn't I yell about it? Well, it's going to be too late. There's already that many already here, and I guarantee you something like that is going to happen. And when it happens, if Biden's still in the presidency, he'll probably blame it on Trump.
You know,
That's just the way that's what they do. They gaslight you because let me tell you, they will tell you to your face, just like when Antifa was burning down Portland, Oregon, and the reporter was standing in front. Oh, it's a peaceful loving. And you're supposed to believe that.
Well, what does the Bible say? We were talking about that. Remember I told you I had that little brain fart and I forgot what I was going to say?
Yeah.
That's what you were talking about. You made it biblical. What does the Bible say about the last days, about evil?
It's going to come. It will be here. It will be here. And you better be on the right side of the God.
And they're going to tell you
Ahead of time.
what they're going to do.
What they're going to do.
And they are.
And they're telling us now.
They're telling us.
Are you seeing that?
Yes.
Are you watching as they're telling you to your faces what they're going to do, and they're doing it? And that's why we believe, and we had that conversation earlier, we were talking about, we do believe we're living, in my opinion, I believe we're living in the end of the last days, you know, and I've studied the Word of God. You know, there was a time where I could not get enough of it, you know, and so, and I'm thankful because that's what prepared me. Being in politics can be very confusing and very difficult. But if you understand the Word of God, everything makes sense.
You have a book. You have a
Yes.
path.
Everything makes sense.
Everything makes sense. Yeah,
You know?
totally does. Totally does. Anytime I've ever had pause about anything that I had to make a decision on, I went to prayer,
Yes.
and he immediately knew what I should do.
Yes.
And that's just a fact. That's just the fact. It every time every time I'm preparing myself to do something good for whoever, whatever, the enemy comes at you.
Yes.
Every
Yes.
time.
That's
And
right.
When I was living in Oregon and I would go to play at a men's retreat, let's say in the mountains, you know, for just to have a men's retreat, you know,
Yes.
and study the word. something always happened at home
Mm-hmm.
prior to me go. And then my wife at the time, she looked at me, she says, something powerful is going to happen with you up in those mountains, because look what the enemy's trying to do to you
That's
right now.
Yes.
And it
Yes.
every time it happened. And so it got to the point where I realized that, okay, something's going to happen, you know,
Yes.
and I'm going to power through it, and I'm going to go do what I'm going to do and do the good that I think that I should be doing.
That's right.
And so you have to be aware of that as well.
Well, speaking about doing the good, you have a big event coming up tomorrow, Wednesday, at Marshall High School, don't you? You want to talk about that?
Yeah. I went to Marshall High here in L.A., off of Los Feliz Boulevard over there, and my class of 69, Summer 69, I always love that song, too. Every time I hear it, I go, yeah, that was a great year. I got a phone call from the Alumni Association, and they had a vote, and apparently every year they have a distinguished alumni that speaks at the graduation for the graduating class and their families, and they voted for me
That's awesome.
to be that guy this year. And so, and ironically, it's going to be at the Greek Theater
Wow.
in Griffith Park.
Sure, you got some history there.
And I've got history there too, because I've played the Greek Theater so many times with El Chicano, you know, and I love, it's been one of my favorite places to go see music and play. And guess what? When I was in high school at Marshall High, I was an usher at the Greek Theater.
Wow. Wow. Little did you know, right?
Yeah, fast forward.
Little did you know.
I mean, I've been going to that theater since junior high school, you
That's
know.
amazing.
I mean, that's how long I've been going to the Greek Theater and just loving the shows, the music. It's just a special place in my
That's
heart, you know.
amazing.
So I'm very touched, and I'm excited about speaking, you know, and I'm not going to speak long, but, you know, I'm a local kid, local guy, you know,
So will you actually be speaking at the Greek?
Yes.
Also, so you will be speaking at the Greek.
It's at the Greek, the graduation is at the Greek Theater.
Okay. Did you bring a guitar? Will you-
No, I'm not going to
not
play.
doing all
I'm not
that?
going to
Okay.
play. Yeah,
Just
yeah.
wondering.
But it harkens me back to the day before I graduated at Marshall High. I'll always remember this. It was on the field at Marshall where we graduated. There were 750 people graduating that day in our class. And I always remember that. And we went through the rehearsal the day before, and everybody left, and I went and sat in the bleachers. And I remember, even though I was already playing guitar and singing, and I knew what I was going to do in life, I mean, that was huge to me.
You already had name recognition.
I already had.
Yeah.
I was already playing nightclubs, and I already knew what I wanted to do. But there was that moment where I sat down in the bleachers and looked down at the graduating. It was empty for the next day, and I thought, I did it.
Wow.
I'm done. And then I went, now what?
Let me pull out my guitar.
I had that moment of, now what? and I got a little scared, you know, in my body, because, you know, I didn't want to go to college. I wanted to play music, you know.
Yeah.
And like I said, I was
Oh,
playing.
that worked out pretty well for you.
Yeah, it did. It sure did. I just kept harking on that.
Travel the world,
I've been around the world, played,
gold albums, you name it.
toured with everybody on the planet, man. And all of a sudden, I'm back at the Greek Theater.
That's amazing, right? Well, I mean, it's just amazing. This full circle. It's kind of
Total full circle.
and just to end up at this time in your life.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying you're old, but
But I am.
And
That's okay.
And you know, for our audience, just to prepare you, you never know when the man, Jerry Salas, is going to bring out his guitar and play one of those favorite songs that you want to hear. Right, Jerry?
Next
Yes,
spot.
yeah.
I'll bring them.
We'll surprise them. We'll surprise them so they can come on out. You know,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
never know
yeah.
what it's going to be.
it's always fun to have a musician friend like Jerry, you know, that where you get personal
Historical stories.
Well, no, it's not the story, but you get to hear the music where he just pulls out the guitar in the
Oh,
backyard
man. Yeah.
and just, you know,
Yeah.
reminisce. And he plays songs from when he was 13, 14 years old.
Yeah.
And you get to hear the stories. And it's always fun to be able to be part of that.
Oh,
And,
it's exciting,
it's a
bro. I love
it's a
it.
privilege.
I'm currently
you know?
working on a song called Elephant in the Room.
That's right. writing a song just for the podcast here. So that's coming up.
I am. And so,
what kind of rhythm we got going, brother?
Look forward to that. It's going to be a groover. It's going to be
That's
a groover.
right, man.
Yeah, it's not going to be a lay back thing. You know, I want it to be in your face. You know, kind of like we were talking earlier about I'm working with Tony Franklin, bass player from working with Lou Graham, and this guy's crazy. Played with Jimmy Page in The Firm.
Mm-hmm.
He's just an amazing guy. So we've been learning some Foreigner songs because we're doing this all-star band, and since he plays with Lou Graham, he's lead singer of Foreigner.
Yeah.
So I've been listening to what was that song?
Yeah, I know.
Just rocking. It's so I want it to be a rocker. So we'll see what happens though.
Well, you know, that's very interesting to hear because I
Double
know
vision.
Double vision. There it is. Kind of what I have right now because I haven't slept in 4 days. So my mind is slow. It's like I'm getting double vision. You know, seriously though. But no. So you know, before we end the show, I know there's a couple things we wanted to talk about. You know, but first of all, for our audience, I want you guys to know. This is not a show that is just going to be about the three of us. We are setting up the whole system so that everything will be live. We will be doing it consistently on one day. But we want to hear from you. We want to be able to have you live on social media, whether it be Facebook, Zoom, whatever it is, however our producers set this up. And we want to hear from you. We want you to have a conversation with Jerry, with Maryann, with myself, be able to ask us questions. You know, this is what we want. And like I said, this is not about us, Democrat, Republican, has nothing to do with that. That stays out the door. Elephant in the room means that we're going to talk about the issues that no one wants to talk about because these are issues that need to be spoken about. Because when we remain silent, you're feeling it in your pocketbook. You're seeing it in your bank account. You're afraid to go out in the public streets now because of the violence and crime and so on and so forth.
That's right.
And we got to change that. And how do we change that? By educating people. We're not trying to say people are dumb, but sometimes we're ignorant in the fact because we're so busy just trying to put food on the table, pay the bills, so on and so forth. And that was intentional. We talked about that on our first show, you know, and that's how the politicians want it. So there's a couple other events that, do you want to speak anything more about, Marshall? Because I know there's a luncheon first, right?
Yeah, we're going to have a luncheon at the golf course, I think Wilson Golf Course at 2 o'clock tomorrow, and then
tomorrow, Wednesday.
Wednesday, tomorrow, the 12th, and then 6 o'clock we'll move over to the Greek Theater and do that program there, and I'll be able to speak. And you got to realize Marshall is a very theater motivated.
Awesome.
They've had so many people. Leonardo DiCaprio came from Marshall. Michelle Phillips from Mamas and Papas graduated in Marshall.
Wow,
2 of the Black Eyed Peas came out of Marshall.
Wow.
I can go on and on. You know, the coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. He's a Marshall graduate. He was behind me. Judge Ito from the
and the list goes
O.J.
on
Simpson.
and on.
He was a semester ahead of me.
That's awesome.
So there's a lot. Ron Moss from Player.
Hey, well, San Fernando High School has all the politicians that have failed us. And that is the truth. Those of you who went to the high school with me, you know I'm speaking the truth.
You know who you are.
You know. So the good thing is that Jerry was able to take a couple of guests with him. So guess who's going with Jerry tomorrow?
That's right. That's right.
We're going to be out there with him. So now a couple other events we wanted to mention. There's a men's gathering that's going to take place on Saturday from 1 to 4, baby.
1 to 4.
1 to 4 at
Father's
Brand
Day.
Park, San Fernando Mission Park. It's not Father's Day. It's the
Father's
Saturday,
Day
the day
event.
before. Yeah, it's a Father's Day event to bringing the men out. There's a lot of good groups, San Fernando Valley Alliance, and some of the others that are putting this together. My boy Oscar, my boy Manuk. What's up, guys? You know, keep up the fight. We're with you, and I know you're with us. You got our back. So we're going to attend that tomorrow, but it's going to be no politics. Let's talk about how we get involved to protect our families, to protect our children.
That's not tomorrow, baby.
I mean,
That's
Saturday.
Saturday.
Saturday the 15th.
And just so you know, it is free. They're going to have barbecue food. So you're not. This is a time for you to take you and your kids. This is really meant for the fathers just to enjoy. They're doing this for the fathers to recognize them because fathers, I think, sometimes don't get the recognition that they deserve because they deserve a lot of recognition. In fact, a lot of our boys deserve a lot more because we're always so propping up the girls so much, and that's fine. But right now, the girls are surpassing in colleges the boys,
Right.
and that's not really, to me, as a mother and as a wife, and just as a grandma. I always think, to me, it's nice if a woman wants to work. That's great, but it's nice to know that you can count on your man and depend on your man.
Yes.
And if you want to stay home with the kids and take care of the kids, that's that's nice. That's the way I think it was meant to be, because now you're in charge of what's going on with your kids. You see what's happening, especially with all the indoctrination that's happening.
Definitely.
And you know what? Right now, we need to recognize our men. We need to recognize our boys, and we need to start pushing our boys, because we're pushing our girls so much that right now they're outpacing the boys, and it's not the way that it was meant to be. It was meant for the men to be the
Head of the household.
Head of the
Head of the
household.
house.
And
The
so,
provider.
so
And
take
protector.
your families out there and enjoy it. It's free. It's going to be free.
It's going to be a cool event. It's going to be, they're going to have music. It's going to be real cool. You're going to have a good time. It's San Fernando Mission Park, also known as Brand Park. It's going to be Saturday, June 15th from 1 to 4. So come on out, check it out. Also, we're going to have another event on July 6th. We'll talk about it again. It's going to be a faith-based town hall. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring all the pastors, the priests, the Jewish community, all the faith-based leaders under one umbrella, so that we can educate them on what they can and cannot say or do at the pulpit with their churches. But we're going to educate them even more about all the bills that have been passed, the ones that have come against parental rights, the ones that have come against the indoctrinating of our children. So we're going to have Jessica Cabrera, who's going to be speaking. We're going to have Jennifer Kennedy. We're going to have Hope Howe, that's going to come out with the Salt and Light as well. Patty Lopez, a former assemblywoman, is going to be speaking. Bishop Juan Carlos Mendez. So it's going to be a great event. It's going to be at Osborne Neighborhood Church, and we'll give a little plug in later when we get closer to the event. But that's kind of where we're going. Last night, we'll end with this. We were invited. All this is about God's timing. We as people of faith, we do believe that everything is in God's time. So here we are trying to organize. God has been putting it in my heart. Wake up the churches. Wake up the churches. I've been trying to do this for 18 years, and the churches didn't want to listen. Now, instead of them kicking me out because of what I had to say, now they're inviting me in. So we got invited. So that's why we're putting this whole, faith-based town hall together. I get a call yesterday around 4 o'clock. Hey, Benny, there's a private event that's going to take place about a movie up in Burbank. The movie's called The Forged. Wow. What a powerful movie. I mean, it's the Kendrick brothers, right?
Yes, The Forge is the movie.
And it has to do with forgiveness, brother. It is so powerful.
Wow.
I mean, a powerful movie that this generation, the times that we're living today, I was given an opportunity to speak after they turned off the screen. You had some of the producers there, and they had asked, would anybody like to say? I said, you know what? This is a perfect movie for the times that we're dealing with. Because a lot of our young men and women who have gone through some hard, tough things that they did not deserve have this hardness in their heart. And that's why they're depressed. That's why they're sick. That's why they don't want to come out of their homes, because they don't know how to forgive. The way the message was relayed in this movie,
It was
Jerry,
It was powerful.
powerful.
So there was this is the AMC, and this is the theater that probably had more than 200 seats, and they were all. I try to count myself, and I counted 20 rows in each, and there was probably over 200, maybe 240, maybe pastors, mostly pastors there, and so
Really?
there was a lot. It was full, and I have to say, if you've seen what is the movie with the human trafficking?
Jim Caviezel movie?
Yeah, what is it?
Sounds of Freedom.
Sounds of Freedom.
Freedom.
Okay, that was a great movie, and I've been seeing some great movies this last year. Great Christian movies. Now I'm going to tell you, this movie is an amazing movie.
It's gonna top it.
It's topped for me.
Really?
Those are great movies, but this
That
movie,
powerful.
I'll tell you why.
I gotta
Because
see
this
it.
is what's happening almost in every family. What the story is about is happening just about in every family household right now. And I'll tell you, my husband and I were crying off and on. We're laughing off and on. It had a great story. I mean, it's just just heart-wrenching at times. And as a mother, a grandmother, they ask what part of the movie you liked. There's so many great parts. it was really hard to pick one. And I'll tell you one part that got me is, God, I don't want to cry, but it was a part where the young boy, his name is Isaiah. My grandson's name is Isaiah, and so he's a teenager, always with his, wanting to play his games, same as
Basketball.
This is just so like ordinary, but the story's amazing. And so at one point, the young boys, had a hardened heart. You have to listen to the story. I don't want to tell you the story, but
don't give it away.
He had a hardened heart, and so the Lord was working in him. The Lord was working on him, and so he started like talking out loud in his bedroom about like, Lord, show me. I'm giving you my life. He's just
opening up.
Yeah, just opening. And he's crying.
What is my distraction? What is my idol?
He's crying and crying, and he's talking out loud. And so as he's like going so deep into his heart and talking about everything, they kind of go to the mom on the other side of the wall in the kitchen and listening to her son giving himself to the Lord.
Oh.
And it was just like she's crying and crying. I'm like, oh my God, like I'm crying. And it was just such,
brother.
and I don't want to tell you, but I'm telling you, my advice to you, I told my son about this movie. The movie doesn't come out until August. And I told my son about the movie, and he's like, well, I can get it with my flash drive. And I'm like, you're not going to do that. I want to go as a family. So go take your family, especially if you have youth. Go with your family and take them, because let me tell you, it's something.
Yeah, and we're going to try to get the producers to try to bring that movie out here to our side of the valley, in my district, so that we can show it to the community there as well. So we'll see what happens, but I wanted to give a little plug in right there.
Yeah.
So guys, we're winding down right here. Any last words, Jerry?
No, just this is a wonderful conversation, trying to open up minds and hearts right now. And please know that, we're just trying to do a good thing.
Yes.
We're just trying to open up your heart and your mind to what's going on right now for the good of your family, for the good of your family. We're not going for monetary gain here or anything, We're just trying to make life right again.
Right.
That's all.
Yes.
That's all. And it's not about a team. It's not about Democrat or Republican, like we said before. We're all in this together.
That's right.
And if you don't see what's going on about you, you're going to just let it keep going.
Yeah.
So don't do that. Don't do that. Take our words and look it up. Don't just take our words for granted. It's the truth, but look it up for yourself. Do some checking on your own. Realize that this is really going on in our lives, and you got to do it for yourself and your families. That's
right.
all I could say.
Maryann?
Well, no, it was a great show, and I kind of follow what Jerry says. Get involved. I know people are so busy. We only have 5 months till this election is going to come and go so fast. You cannot wait. None of us. Right now, we all have to be on our tiptoes right now, just, ready to go. We all need to jump in and do something, because you know what? There's a lot of people who are not voting, and they think their vote doesn't matter. And we keep ending up where we're at because it does matter.
Yes.
And so just get involved. Get involved. If you don't know how to get involved, reach out to us and we will help you. Reach out and we'll find ways you can get involved.
We have trainings. We have everything that we need. So once again, we want to thank you. And I just want to say to all of our audience out there, if there's anything that you're dealing with, any burdens, whatever it is that you have, you don't have the shoulders to carry that. Give it to the Lord. All three of us here have turned our lives over to the Lord. I wasn't looking for him. He found me. And I can say that, it was the best move I ever did in my life. Everything I was dealing with in life, money couldn't help me. Alcohol, drugs, women couldn't help me. What helped me was when I gave my life and my heart over to the Lord. And that is what we want to leave with you guys with. So once again, on behalf of Jerry Salas, my wife, Maryann, Benito Benny Bernal, God bless you and thank you for joining us on Elephant in the Room.